Hi guys, and welcome back to Motherhood by me. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 9 things I wish I knew when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and this is more finance related. And yeah, I'm just going to pretty much get into it. The first one is tax. Now, I didn't really know much about tax. I think when I was working at first, I wasn't being taxed because I was not earning enough, but I think I learned more about tax when I started going to university because one of the modules I took was on taxation. But I just remember when I was working, this is when I was much older, working with younger students, and they're talking about, oh, we don't get taxed because we're students. And I was just thinking, how misinformed, because technically you're not paying tax because you're a student, you're not paying tax because you're not making enough money. And it's just crazy how the younger people, including myself at the time, are not really knowledgeable about things like this. But obviously you're not paying tax because you're not making more than your personal allowance. So I feel like if I knew a little bit more about tax, personal allowances, it would help a little bit more. And the next one is savings. When did I start saving? I feel like I started saving more when I was like in university, because we were getting a maintenance loan and had my part-time job. But I remember when I was like 16, 17 years old, we used to get something called EMA. I think it was every Wednesday. So you either qualified to get £10 a week, £20 a week, or £30 a week. And I was getting the full £30 a week, and I would spend it all. And I'll start borrowing from my friends. I'll be like, oh, can you borrow me a little £10? I'll pay you next week. The hustle, like, it's just crazy. I was that friend who was always borrowing money at 16 years old. So saving was definitely not on my mind. I was just out here spending, shopping, and all that stuff. And I only started saving when I got a little bit older. And the next one is budgeting. I started budgeting again around the time I was in university, because I started having an income, because obviously it's hard to budget when you don't have an income. But so I got my first part-time job when I was 19, and then obviously at that age I was in university, and I just wanted to handle my money well. So I was able to just do a little budget on my laptop, on my Excel, and it helped. I just feel like budgeting, when you're younger, you don't have to do like an intense budget. You can just do a little random budget just to see where your finances are at. And it's honestly never too early to start practicing these things. This next one is credit card, and I actually got my first ever credit card when I was 18. Again, university life. Just when you turn 18 and you're going to university, it just feels like the finance world just hits you like all of a sudden you've got access to all these things. So I was banking with NatWest. It was a £500 limit, and you had to pay every month. And I think at that age, it was my first time having a credit card. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what was happening. And luckily enough, I was making the minimal payments. I was making my monthly payments. But I didn't even have it for long. I can't remember how long I had my credit card for, but I remember just feeling really stressed out, not understanding how credit card works, because the bank just offered it to me. And obviously at 18 years old, you're like, yes, please. But I was smart enough to cancel it. I paid it off, and I just was like, no, I can't do this. I don't get it. I don't understand it. So it's always important to do your research, to ask questions. Like, you got adults around you, you got community around you. Always inquire. Look online if you have to. So I cancelled it off, but I also had an overdraft, which took me years to finally pay off, because I kept increasing my overdraft limit. And that's again something I didn't know anything about. Setting myself up for failure in my late teens to early 20s is just... Next one is loans. And I got my first loan from my bank. So all this was all from my bank when I think I was 25, and I got a pretty chunky amount. And at the time my credit score was, I guess it was good. So I was able to get this loan, and I just wish I was more knowledgeable about what I was doing, because obviously when you're able to get money, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this. You don't really think things through. If I could tell 20-year-old me, or even 25-year-old me, I'd be like, if you're able to avoid getting a loan, just avoid it. It's just if you can manage to just save up for that thing you're trying to get, rather do that. And I also discovered that credit unions are much better than just borrowing money from a bank. I've spoken about this on my previous video about how I paid off over £10,000 of debt. A credit union for me, I feel like, is a much better option to borrow money than just a typical bank, because you're saving money with them. So when you pay off your loan, you got some money back. So that's something I wish I knew. But yeah, in my old age now, well, not old, but as I'm older now, when I see loans, I'm just like, no. When someone says you should get a loan, I was like, no, I'm not trying to get a loan right now. So I've just realized that as I was doing this clip, the TV was really loud and it's just ridiculous. So here I was just talking about the next point, which was basically like debt. 18 years old, don't think, oh, I'm 18, like I'm gonna leave that stuff when I'm older. No, if you can prepare yourself in advance, do it. I know a lot of young people do have that mentality of, oh, you're only young once, blah blah blah. Yes, it's true. I'm not asking you to go out there and spend all your time, focusing on these things, but I just feel like doing the odd research here, especially before you get your overdraft, before you get your loan, talk to someone. Do you really need it? Do you know what I mean? Like, assess your situation before you get into it, because trying to improve your credit score, which is another talking point I'm gonna have, it's a long process because it affects it. But yeah, being in debt, it just builds up. I think it's called the snowball effect. It starts small, and before you know it, you've got so much debt on your hands. Especially a lot of debt we accumulate when we're younger, I feel like, and then when you're older, you have to, pay for the debt you incurred when you were younger. So why not educate yourself when you're able to? So the next one is credit score. So obviously, if you're borrowing money recklessly, it will affect your credit score. And when I'm saying recklessly, I mean like if you're borrowing large amounts of money when your credit score is still good, then you start borrowing large amounts of money that you can't pay back, or you're borrowing money for things that really can wait. Like, you need to, as I've said, you have to assess, do you really need that? Because if you start to borrow recklessly, it may be fun at the time to get the money and buy the stuff you want to buy, but if you're not being responsible with it, your credit score will come and hit you in the face. And with a bad credit score, it affects things like getting any future loans, and a big one, which is obviously a mortgage. Now for me, credit score, I think in my 20s I did hear about credit score, but I never really paid attention to it until my mid-20s, and that sounds so bad. Like, I'm not sure when I started really paying attention to credit scores. I think when I was like 26. This is just like 3 years ago when I really started to like pay attention to it, and it's only 2 years ago that I realized I need to like sort this out. And it's now that I'm trying to like improve my credit score. Like, just, it's crazy. Like, when you're so reckless, you think, oh yeah, life is so carefree, but you really come, and the future you comes and pays for the younger you's mistakes. And yes, I know that when you're young you make mistakes, but there's some mistakes that you can avoid. You might as well learn from someone else's mistakes rather than make your own mistakes and you have to learn again in the future. So credit score, keep an eye on your credit score. It doesn't matter how young you are, just keep an eye out. There's apps out there that you could use for credit score. I use, what's it called? I think it's called Credit Karma. And this video is not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I do use Credit Karma, and it just gives me a brief outline of, it helps you, like, it gives you points on what to do to improve your credit score, and what you're doing well, what you need to improve on, and what you're doing terribly on. So you use those points and you improve it. And sometimes it will take months, can even take years to improve your credit score. That's how serious it is. And imagine if you're trying to get a mortgage, which is my next point, mortgage, which links into your credit score. Imagine trying to get a mortgage and having a horrible credit score, and having to, let's say you've got your money saved up and you're ready, but the bank won't touch you with a 10-foot budge pole. So you have to wait 2 years unless someone else intervenes for you. So it's very important, honestly. And the last one, and certainly not the least, but this is probably like the last thing I've done, so it's investment. And my auntie, I remember my auntie telling me, and I think she's telling me and my other cousin, she's like, you girls need to invest, you need to buy shares in the company. And I don't remember how old I was, but I was definitely under the age of 25. I think I was, let's just say 20. And we kind of looked at her like, huh? Like, at that age, are you really thinking of investing? But it makes sense. And so she told me, but I just didn't pay attention. But if I did pay attention, and let's say I made an investment, right now I'd have been better off. But obviously investment's a bit touchy. It is a big subject matter, it's a big topic. I don't expect a 17-year-old to go and just make an investment, but I'm talking more like if you're in your 20s, at least just do research. Like, research doesn't harm you, doesn't hurt you. Ask your parents, ask adults in your community, about investing. Watch videos online, see what's good for you. And you don't have to invest there and then. You can wait till you're older. You can invest even a small amount. Like, you can invest £10 today, which, I don't know, in a year's time can turn into £100. What have you got to lose apart from, £10? Obviously, investing is risky. Like I've said, it comes with its own risks, but it's just nice to know the options that are available to you. That's pretty much it for this video. Feel free to leave me a comment about things that you wish you knew when you were younger, because honestly, like, we need to educate our younger people, our little brothers and sisters. And I'll definitely be teaching my kids these things. Obviously, my kids are a little bit too young, but I feel like, even though they're quite young, I feel like my 3-year-old, I can teach him things that are relevant to his age, about, not really quite about money, but he already knows about money. But I just feel like you're never too young. You can just start with the small things, and as they get older, it's already embedded in their mind. It's our responsibility as adults, as parents, to educate our kids. It really is. The school is not going to teach them everything. Teach them what you can and let them go. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for everybody who subscribed to my channel, and I'll see you in my next one.